name's Cami Taylor, and I'm going to show you how to make a 12-inch hoop drum from one of my drum making kits. So I've got the hoop here, and I always like to write my name inside and the year and what kind of hide I'm using. So this is a bull hide drum that I'm making today. And then I've soaked my drum head and the lacing in water for about 2 days. And the thicker the hide, the longer that you'll want to soak it. And each day I change out the water and put some fresh in there so it doesn't get too stinky. The most important thing with soaking the hide in water is you want to use cool water. Don't ever use warm water because it tends to cook the hides and it gets really slimy and gross. So important, cool water. So when I get started here, I'm going to find the side of the hide, which is the smooth side. So it would have a little bit of hair on it, and I want to put that part down. So the part going up is where they've fleshed. You might see some knife marks and, you know, just some stringy flesh from the inside of the animal. So you want the smooth side down. And when I do soak my hides, I love to soak it in water, and then I put in crystals for some mineral elements. So I have some selenite in there. And I also like to put plant medicine in there. So this time I just put some rose petals off of my rose bush. And I also have used lavender or marigolds or just whatever you find around. You could use some pine needles or anyways, just to create that trilogy of the plant, animal, mineral medicines in the water. That's kind of, when you have your lacing, when you first get your lacing out of the bucket of water, I like to pull it, stretch it. So sometimes it'll stretch it a little bit longer. So you want to make sure it's all pulled and stretched before you start. Good thing I had this extra. So just give it a little tug. And sometimes it'll stretch a little and sometimes it'll stretch a lot. But that way your lacing isn't ready to go. So that's for another thing I like to do. So the drum kit comes with pre-poked holes and this big string of lacing. And if your lacing is flat like that on the end, I just grab some scissors and cut it to a point, just to help make a little needle for sewing. So I'll set my hide up and just kind of pull it over the edges and make sure that the hoop is centered, that the hide's gonna go over all the edges evenly. And then I take my little string here and I'm gonna start at 6 o'clock and then we're gonna go to 12 o'clock. So if you imagine your drum hoop as a clock, it helps you work around the clock. So I just go in and out, and this first one, I'm just gonna leave about maybe 1.5 feet of lacing, and then I'm just gonna tie a little slip knot right here that I can get undone at the end. So we'll come back to that little string when we get to that point. So then we're gonna take the other end of our lacing, and this is super important. When you find the end, hold on to it and don't let go. Okay, so here's the end, and just make sure there's no knots in any of the lacing, because you'll have to go back and undo it. All right, here we go. So we're just gonna go straight across and in one hole and out the other. And then here's that end I don't wanna let go of. So I'm just gonna hold on to it and just pull. So what I've learned in the last 8 years of drum making is that you don't wanna pull these lacings too tight because they're gonna dry and keep tightening. So when we come to make the tie in the middle, we'll talk about that some more. Okay. So 1, 2, and now we're just gonna follow the circle around and go from hole to hole. So I just always like to go under the lacing just to keep it uniform. So you go under this middle piece and over in these 2 holes. And just working your way right next to the previous tie. So then I'm going to go under that middle one again and go right next to the previous tie over here. Just working our way around the hoop. I love to set up my space here with just some other things to make this just more of a fun, relaxing, meditational space. I brought some sage, so we're going to smudge the hide as we're transforming it from an animal skin and a hide that used to walk this earth into this beautiful healing tool. So I have some smudge, and then I do have rattles, and those work as well too, just to smudge the hide as they're going. And I love to give my drum a special prayer and blessing of what energy that I'm putting into it, because I believe that intention is so important. When drumming or creating or anything we do in our life, if we have an intention, then things tend to manifest. So a lot of times I'll encourage people to just take their markers and draw all over the inside of the hoops. Whatever you want to write in there. Like if you're going to use this drum for healing hearts, you might write that, healing hearts. Or if you're going to use this drum for meditation, you could just write words like peace and love and all the things that you want to create in your world. Okay, so we're still just going around under the middle. We're going to go next to this one and just keep working our way around. We have 8 sets of holes, so there's 4 for the directions and 4 for the elements. And then we're going to make a cross tie in the center. So there's a lot of symbolism in there, whatever you choose to create that for yourself, bringing in all these elements and energies. Okay, this is our last time under, our last hole right over here. And then we're going to be to the center tie. So in and out. So your drum's going to look like this. So this is when you're going to go back and check your lacing. So it seems pretty tight right now. I'm going to loosen it a little bit because as we wrap up this tie, it's going to even pull it tighter. And this stuff really, really, really tightens as it dries. And I live in the desert of southeastern Utah, so it's pretty warm here. Loosen that up, and then we're going to untie that knot that we tied in the beginning. Okay, here's our end piece. And this is the other end piece, the long one we've been sewing with. So I just lay that across the middle, the long one, and I'm going to go take care of this little one right now. So I'm just going to pull it into the center and kind of grab all the lacing with it, so you can see where you want to place the middle of your handle. I just kind of like them in the center, but some people like to make them off to the side, or so this is up to you, whatever you want to do right now. I think I'm going to loosen it up a little bit more because I want it really boingy in the middle. So just give it a little bit more give. So the looser your strings, the deeper the sound. You don't want it too loose, but boingy is good like this. So, because it will just tighten right up in a couple of days. And if it's a nice hot day, windy, you will start hearing its voice in the morning. So, I never dry them out in the sun. I usually just like to let them naturally dry in the shady or the windy area. Okay, I'm using this little end, and so we're going to take it in 4s together, like these 2, which is kind of 4 strings, and then these 2, and these 2. So we're just going to start wrapping this up one side once we've found our center. And you can decide right here how many wraps you want to make. 2 would make a tiny little tie in the middle. 3 looks good. I kind of like the number 4, so I think I'm going to take that up 4 times. And then just to end this off, we're just going to wrap it around one side and make a little half hitch right here, if that's what you call it. I think it is. So you go around and then back through it and pull it into a little knot. And then you can just cut it and try to incorporate this little tail in there somehow. I just weave it back in through these little things right here. So we'll get back to that in a minute. Okay, we have our other end, so we're just going to start working our way up here, taking these next two and wrapping. So I just did 4 on the last one, so I'll just do the same on this one. 2, 3, 4. And then I'm just going to go around 2 of these really quick and do a little knot like that. Pull it back through. And then this piece I'm going to just hide underneath the bottom like that. And then we'll just start working on the next set of 4 over here. And we are almost done. Okay, there's 4 on that one. So then I'll just give it a little knot on one side to hold that end in place. I bring this back underneath. Now this is the last one and we're going to end out here at the edge. So I'm going to make a little bit of a design on the center for where my hand is going to hold. I just sometimes like to make an X or just kind of create a small ball, but we don't want to use too much because we want to have enough lacing left to make this and also not get this ball too thick because it will take a really long time to dry. So if you have a lot of lacing, then you don't have to use it all. Just cut it off when you're done. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and here's my 4th one. I think they all look pretty even there, so I'm just going to do a couple of little knots here and cut it off. And we're done, just like that. Okay, so we're going to just cut this end one off too and tuck it back up in there. And then I usually get clothespins and hook these little edges on the side like this. Okay, so now our tie is all finished. I like to just take some clips, grab these at Family Dollar, Walmart or somewhere, and put them on the edges to hold down the hide. So I just go in between each one of these sets of lacing so that it'll give it a nice good connection around that rim. And don't worry if it seems a little loose because it will tighten, I promise. Come over here and work my way back that way. There we go. We are almost complete with our little bullhide drum. need a few more clips. I'll just steal some over here. Got a lot. Just kind of play with it, figure out where it's supposed to go, and it'll dry right exactly how you leave it. So there we go. I got a few spots here to play with, but that's how you do. Okay, here it is. I've been just working it and pushing it around the edges and getting all my clips in place. So you're gonna have some bubbles along the sides like this, that's just fine. As long as this front part's nice and tight, and then this back part, the lacing, is nice and loose. Like, look how loose that is. A lot of people get wigged out about it and they want to keep tightening it, but this is good. It'll make a deeper sounding drum. So that's how I do my drum making, and if you want to check out any more of my videos, or there's all kinds of stuff on drum care on my Facebook page. It's called Cami Taylor Art, and I have a lot of fun, cool items like drum salves to keep your drums oiled on my Etsy shop. If you would like to purchase some of that, that would be really good for your drum. So these are natural skin. They do dry out. In about a week, this is going to start showing some dry areas, and I just oil it all with some really yummy organic coconut or olive oil, whatever you have around the house, but I make some salve that's really delicious with lots of essential oils for skin. So yeah, that's the play your drum and enjoy.